Welcome to Everybody Gets 15 Minutes here at Waterloo Records in Austin, Texas. A conversation with some of our favorite acts. We have the privilege of hosting live in-store right here on our stage. I'm Gus Ochoa, and this is Evan Charles. Welcome to Waterloo.
Thanks, Gus.
Awesome. Yeah, so glad you're here. What did you think? You played the stage. I know it was like, last week for the record coming out. What did you think of the new place? What do you think?
I loved it. I love that this is what I just do on Fridays at this point.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, because it was a couple of weeks ago we did mine, and then last week our friend and my producer Jonas Wilson did his record and his in store, and now I'm here on another Friday, and I was thinking on the drive over here I could get used to this. I just like coming to be in this space. So,
well, I mean, we love having you. I love the record, and I'm going to get to that. Obviously, I was listening to it on the way in today. And what did you think of the stage? Like being up there, because you've played the old place too.
Yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was nice to have some room. Honestly, yeah. And I thought that we had a little bit more license to have a little more volume, and therefore I thought that just like the room sound in here was maybe just like a little more natural.
Oh, nice.
I feel like at the old spot, we were always kind of playing at like the lowest possible volume. And generally, I think if you're going to go one way or the other, I tend to maybe go a little quieter. But this felt a lot more just like, right in that sweet spot in terms of volume, mix, room, sound. I know everybody had like feelings about the old space.
Sure.
As did I. I grew up buying CDs there. But that being said, this new space feels so great, and that's definitely true of the stage as well.
That's great to hear. Allie, our engineer, is going to be really happy to hear that as well.
Yeah, they did a great job. Job.
Allie's fantastic. There's a few different projects you've been a part of, the Letdown, Alta Mesa, like doing Evan Charles. How's it different for you?
I guess I've only done 2 records. This is the second full-length album, so I really only have that as a reference point. But what I will say is the common point between Two Worlds, which is my first solo record that came out a couple years ago, and then now Echoes at Dawn, is that I definitely was like in the lab in Logic, like at my house, demoing out to a much more arranged extent than I would if I were gonna like bring something to a band and let everybody find their moment and find their thing, and maybe I don't have to be like dictating the hook or something in a band atmosphere. Whereas with my solo work so far, I've been pretty hands-on with the arrangements. Pretty much most of the guitar hooks across both records, although I can't claim all of them. With Alta Mesa, it was always kind of like the first Alta Mesa record is essentially kind of a solo record, and then after that, Sean, that was a much more kind of like I'd bring stuff to him, he'd find his specific thing with it, and then with the Letdown, we go in fully knowing that the song's going to change like 3 times before we're done with it, probably because that's like a fully collaborative like 4-person process. Obviously somebody is the original writer of the song. About half those tunes, they originate with like a face-to-face sit-down co-writing session with me and Chris, bass player and other singer, or me and Z. A lot of those songs we literally just kind of did in what I, in my Beatlesy brain, call the Lennon-McCartney style, where you're just sitting across from each other and hashing out some words and hashing out where the hooks are going to go. And so yeah, those have been the different processes across those 3 projects.
Gotcha. Well, let's talk about Echoes at Dawn since we're here and,
Sure.
and it's out, obviously, and that's what we're kind of celebrating here. I was listening to it on the way in this morning. I mean, I love it. It's quickly becoming one of my favorite local releases for sure this year. The title track, it reminds me of like Everything Hits at Once.
Yeah.
Like that old Spoon track.
Yeah. 100%. I was super inspired by early Spoon for that track specifically. That track came about because, I did Echoes at Dawn in essentially 3-day sessions, and then some kind of just cleanup little one day once the bulk of it was all done. But in the first 3-day session, we started on 4 songs, got most of the way through most of them. And, but I came into the control room for a playback on something one day, and Ricky Ray Jackson, who co-produced the record, started talking about this band called The Natural History, which was the original writers of Spoon's hit song "Don't You Ever," I guess the way they spell it.
Really?
But yeah, that was originally a song by this band called The Natural History.
I remember that band.
Yeah, I think they put out 2 albums. That's off the first one called The People That I Meet. Anyway, there's just this like kind of driving piano track that kind of starts that record, a little bit of a syncopated change. And I think that's kind of where the similarities stop, but that was what kind of started the whole Echoes at Dawn thing. So the point of that story being that song very much was born of that Spoon Natural History, like indie rock. And I'll say on the demo, I did a very like Kill the Moonlight. That album is so heavy on just like sort of intertwining percussion as the bedrock of its rhythm, at least to begin with on a lot of the songs. And my original demo was kind of like this like shaker tambourine, like dancey, like minimal dancey thing. And Jonas took that and you know, decided there were going to be drums, and he kind of helped arrange the fuller drum sound and stuff. That song came from that world for sure.
Yeah, there's I mean, I love it. I'm a big Spoon fan. I mean, I think a lot of people that grew up playing music in Austin are, or even if you just like, you know, at this point, anywhere in the world.
Yeah. I saw them on the Ga 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 release at the old location.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Was it in the parking lot?
No, it was packed out inside.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think I was like 16 maybe. I was in high school.
I also get a little bit of like a Birds vibe on Wrong Reasons.
Yeah.
For instance.
Did you read my my bio or something?
No, man. No. I'm telling you.
That's funny.
I love the Birds. And
Yeah.
so like I'm on the way in today and I'm listening to this. I'm like, oh man, this is so the Birds in like the best way.
It's that 12 string, you know, and that was another thing about having Ricky play on the record and co-produce it, is he'd find the right flavor for the right songs.
It sounds so good.
Super cool. Yeah.
I was really excited to hear that.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. Another one that stood out to me on this one was Ripples on the Deeper Blue.
Yeah.
There was old 97s ish, almost like kind of feel to that one too. That's what I love about you though. You're one of my, as far like tonally, like in the scene since I've met you, I love your guitar tones. I love like you're so tasteful, if I could say that, like
thanks.
with your note placement and things like that. And it really comes through the influences, but it's all like funneling through you, which I think is beautiful.
I think that's just kind of the nature of being a creative person is, and you know, it's funny, of all the places to like learn this lesson or like remember that from. One time I was at my grandmother's house, I think when I was in high school, and it was maybe about when Conan O'Brien was about to take over the show from Jay Leno. Right.
And it didn't happen or whatever.
It happened for like a few weeks and then they pulled him.
Yeah.
But it was in the lead up to that. It was before it had happened. And he said something in an interview about how, it's my failure to replicate my idols that makes me myself. Like a lot of the times I think, oh man, I'm being so derivative, but I always kind of have to remember that it's going to come out different. Because I'm a different person. We're in a different time. Like studio circumstances are different. Like,
yeah, you have a different fingerprint. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there are just all these other variables at play than just sort of like your own sort of self-conception of it. So I wrote the main hook for that song, guitar hook, but Ricky kind of took that and expanded upon it. And he was trying to feel his way around it and see if there was like some kind of thing. And I think after a few takes, he kind of just shrugged his shoulders and just goes, it's a Tele ripper. All right.
Which you love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I want it to be a Tele ripper.
For anybody out there who hasn't had the pleasure of seeing Evan play, please go watch him rip the Tele. You know what I mean? It's tremendous. We're talking about Jonas and you're talking about Ricky. How much of an influence I guess in what way did they help you shape your sound while you were in here? Like realize what it was you were going for sonically?
On Echoes at Dawn?
Yes.
There are parts of Echoes at Dawn. Price of Love is one song. Mary Braun is another song.
Price of Love is a great tune, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Those are maybe two of the main ones to talk about. Echoes at Dawn as well, in a way, but where there are these sort of synth lines, and going back to the fact that I did a lot of extensive pre-production and demoing at my house, we took a lot of the synth parts I had played on my same little micro Korg that I brought to the in-store here, but we took those wave files and we fed them into Jonas's MIDI selector. And so a lot of it is stuff that I played, but just the fact of being able to bring those into the studio and for Jonas to sort of open up a bank of like available sounds for something that I had already played, but in a texture or tone that I didn't even know was going to be available. Jonas's big influence to me was actually more as a keyboard player, and specifically as somebody who helped navigate and select the synthesizer and keyboard tones that ended up on each song, and as well as a piano player. So I definitely played piano in bits and bobs on the album, but the first and last track, that's definitely Jonas playing the whole song. Another thing about working with those guys is I've known both of them for so long that it's kind of one of those things where it's like, whoever's got the part, whoever's got the idea, just go in there and do it. So like, for example, on Meant to Be, I'm playing every instrument except for the drums and the high piccolo. But on The Cold Winds of Age Is Gone, I'm not playing any instruments.
Wow.
So that was just the sort of variation of approach that we took. And to answer the question about Ricky, yeah, I mean, I love his guitar style. I love his pedal steel style. In a way, I kind of wrote some of these songs or some of these arrangements in such a way that I knew that like sort of his natural way of playing would sort of complement what I was bringing, and I tried to leave open spaces for him. I've known Ricky since before this, but his old band, The Happenings, back in 2013 or so, he was pretty consistently on the road with Nikki Lane, and he was also in Phosphorescent at the time.
Oh wow, Phosphorescent.
And he played on the Muchacho record. That was his first record he played on.
I think that's my favorite one, actually.
I just have heard him play on records that I respect a lot, and so I wanted to kind of squeeze some of that same kind of juice out of him on this one. So it influenced how I finished off some of these songs, and it influenced how I approached the arrangement of them, or how we approached the arrangement of them together. Just knowing the personnel,
yeah,
and knowing what they've done before, and sort of knowing what their reference points are. You know, you put somebody in a position to do something, and you know already what their perspective is. You know where they're coming from in a way. So.
Well, and with when it's somebody like Jonas, I feel like it's like good to have that perspective.
Oh yeah. Well, I love Jonas as a producer because he is that perfect blend of like, if he doesn't need to do anything, then he's not going to like just insert himself needlessly. And if there's like a little bit of loose ends that need tying up, he'll go in. Well, you talk about filling that little gap. And then if there's something that needs to be done kind of whole cloth, he can do that too. Although I know that's not his preference. I try and be sort of as selective as possible with like, quote unquote, how I use him in the studio.
Right.
But that's the great thing about him as a producer is just the different touches that he has, and just when to push the right button at the right time, when to lay off, and then when to really get in there and produce, quote unquote. Yeah.
Well, again, sonically, it's evident. I really am enjoying this record. I guess I shouldn't say a surprise, because I think I enjoy everything you do, but like it really hit me this morning driving in how good it is, and everyone should actually listen to it. So yeah, go listen to it. Pick it up at Waterloo. As far as a songwriting perspective, so KTX has described the record as existential or brooding. Citrus Magazine said musically, Echoes at Dawn creates an atmospheric and hypnotic soundscape blending warm analog synths with layered instrumentation that gently builds beneath Charles's evocative vocals. And I love reviews. They help, sort of give you a picture of what's going on. To me, I would add ethereal to that. That's sort of something that I've got, again, on my way in, feeling that.
Yeah. Especially in the morning, probably. Huh?
Yeah, definitely. It's beautiful. Where do they come from for you?
I really almost try and like disassociate from my own sort of personality or something when I'm writing. Because, we all live with ourselves every moment of every day.
Yeah.
It's like we know our own minds so well. And maybe if you get to know your own mind well enough, you come to learn that a lot of the thoughts that pass through it are maybe not even you all the way. They're just kind of
passing through.
Yeah. Exactly. But in terms of like the songwriting, it's more about my perspective on sort of, I don't know, I guess what life is, which is like just a thing that we're kind of passing through, and like sort of natural symbology is finds its way into my songs, and I think that's sort of powerful and elemental. stuff to play with if you can find a way to not be cliched about it. My own interpretation of my record, which is certainly not the definitive one, but there's almost like a Hindu-esque kind of like being reborn into the world at the beginning of this record, which is echoes at dawn of the life you never led. You know, it's literally about, it's the metaphor in the title track is waking up, hearing sort of whispers or almost having like a memory of the dream you just woke up from, but you can't remember it all the way, but almost like it felt so real. And then you kind of from there you begin with these sort of whispers or echoes resonating. And you go through sort of all these different stages of love, both broken and together love, a ripening into older age on side 2 of the record almost. And that's like ripples on the deeper blue. Price of love, price of love is where death enters the equation, and after that there's a little bit of a paring back and just kind of almost like trying to strip away the ego or strip away any kind of expectation or desire until you get to the cold winds of age is gone, where it's just, maybe this goes back to my larger perspective on life, or, the way it seems to me right now at the age of 36, things kind of go, is I don't see a lot of resolution. I think even people probably who do feel like they have some kind of resolution at the end of their life, certainly that's not the case for everything happening around, so maybe you can find some personal elements of that, but to go back to the sort of Hindu philosophy of returning to wherever souls go after they leave the body, there's almost like echoes at dawn is the entry point, and the cold winds of age is gone is the departure, and everything in between those songs is an episodic portrait of a life lived, kind of.
Wow.
So that was how I began to conceive of the record as we got into it. I didn't write all of the songs with that in mind, but I almost began to see where some of them slotted in to how that could be done. And this is the first record I've ever done where I was literally like finishing songs as we were kind of between sessions. That's unique among my personal catalog, where I'm like almost writing and finishing things to fit the larger framework as it's being made, instead of coming in with a batch of songs I know I want to do. That was different.
Kind of almost going with the flow. I feel like KUTX may have nailed it when they said existential.
That's where I live. That's where I live, man. I just kind of, I think I'm here to make music, like to me, that's what I enjoy. I'm here to make music. I'm here to try and make my friends' lives better and to love and be loved. And, I think, and just hopefully be like a good member of the community most of the time.
Can we clone you in the music community? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, that's my goal.
Love it.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite tracks on this record? Like stuff you'd point new listeners to? Hey, you should check out these couple.
I do really love Price of Love, specifically because that was the track that I got Jazz Mills and Carrie Fussell to come sing echoing backing vocals on the chorus. That one has a warm place in my heart because of them. And Maria Braun I really like too, because there's no percussion on it, but it drives. That's one where we brought in the synth from what I had done at home. That's one where I got to overdub my little piano part and then putting Ricky on pedal steel on top of that. I feel like, and he played bass on that song as well. And I just love the blend of ingredients on Maria Braun.
Well, there you go. You guys heard it here first. Go check out those tracks. Lastly, as you've been alluding to, doing these, I like to ask folks, few records that you've been listening to lately.
Yeah.
That have informed you on your recording or just kind of in everyday life that you're enjoying these days.
I think it's 3 different albums from 3 different decades, actually. The Future, Leonard Cohen, that has Anthem on it. The oft quoted, there's a crack in everything, that song. It has Waiting for the Miracle. the song "The Future" has the female backing vocals, repent. Also, just like for the female backing vocals, but also just the way that he can turn a phrase in such an unconventional way that you would never expect to find in a song.
Sure.
I find that to be really liberating as a writer. There's no way that I write the line, "You've got the law in your pocket, the underground is yours, and you're freezing them at a truce." There's no way I write that line without Leonard Cohen. You know, it's like such a mouthful. It makes no sense. That's the only song on the album where I sang my own harmonies because I just knew that anyone else trying to like find my diction on those lines would just be completely hopeless. It would make no sense. So yeah, Leonard Cohen, "The Future," I thought it was thinking about that a lot making this. And as I also said earlier, Muchacho, Phosphorescent, is such a beautiful record. And I feel like that's another one that's knocking on the door of something ethereal. And considering I was literally making this album with a guy who played on basically that entire record and has been in the band ever since then.
Very symbiotic.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm just honored, man. I'm just like, you know, the fact that Ricky wanted to produce and play on a record with me. I think I've said it elsewhere maybe, but I didn't necessarily really even have it in mind to like do this album so soon after Between Two Worlds, but he offered to help me out, and that was enough to, like, you know, for me to get it in gear one more time and see what we could do. So yeah, just the Phosphorescent, that album in particular, but like the whole Phosphorescent sound, you can probably hear it. Anybody who listens to that one can hear it. It's like that was definitely something I was going for in terms of like using space and atmosphere, to the same notion about almost like what you said about like the Birds. I was definitely thinking of Nico Case, Fox Confessor, Brings the Flood. Just the same deal, like a nice like combination of acoustic guitars, like chimey acoustic guitars, kind of like chimey, twangy, but not country electric guitars, like super high reverb, but not used in a surf way necessarily, as well as like piano being part of that mixture as well. That sound just appeals to me. I guess I just like that sound. So
I love it.
Yeah.
So Evan Charles, thank you for being here.
Gus, thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely. Y'all, Echoes at Dawn on Mr. Pink Records is out and in the world everywhere you get your music as of September 12th, but you can pick it up here on CD and vinyl at Waterloo Records. Of course you can. You can follow Evan Charles on Instagram at Evan Charles. And you can follow us on Instagram at Waterloo Records, at Waterloo.sound for our Dolby Atmos studio, and at Waterloo_wheels if you want to follow the adventures of our van. I'd like to thank Cory Reinisch, our marketing manager, for making these things happen. Allie Lingren, our in-house engineer, for always dialing it in. And finally, to our incredible staff, without which none of this is possible. I'm Gus Ochoa. See y'all next time. And until then, support the artists you love. Support your local record store. And if you're in Austin, stop in and say, hey, we'd love to see you. Adios.